Welcome back, and joining me to take a look at the day's markets action is Viv Govender from Rand Swiss Offshore. Viv, thanks so much for joining us today. Now, trade has been really mixed this week. One day markets are up, the next day they're down. To be honest, I haven't been able to sort of pinpoint the exact market moving catalyst besides, a few earnings reports coming through. Viv, what have you made of trade this week? Are we seeing traders just booking some profits, or is it the jitters surrounding the U.S. election?
I think it's partly U.S. election. It's also, we had some really incredible, earnings releases. Tesla's numbers, which came out recently. I think the stock had the best performance it's had in like 11 years, which for a company like Tesla isn't exactly peanuts. You know what I mean? I think the market's finding difficulty breaking through new all-time highs. We hit a high recently, and I think now that we kind of know what's happening with interest rate cuts, they're happening, but at a slower pace than we'd hoped. We're just looking for the uncertainty of the election to pass, not just the US but elsewhere in the world as well as just trying to see if there's any impetus for movements higher than where we are right now. Like I said, all-time highs for the S&P 500 is very difficult to break through unless we have something to support it.
Across the globe in China, we've had reports indicate that Chinese officials will unveil additional fiscal stimulus measures in November to boost the economy. Now, despite recent stimulus initiatives, it doesn't seem like the optimism is lasting long. What's what's rather driving this lingering skepticism among investors, Viv?
Look, the Chinese government is the key issue here. Xi Jinping, basically, after consolidating power and effectively becoming, leader for life, has kind of gone to a much more, anti-capitalist, liberalization kind of, drive. We've seen the big tech companies like, for instance, Alibaba and so on be punished. Jack Ma from Alibaba was punished for saying something negative about the government. We've seen some of the bigger tech companies also punished for, government's, kind of capricious things like Tencent with games and so on. And those kind of things really, affect how, investment occurs in the country.
Yeah.
Also, they've been a lot more aggressive with things like, for instance, Taiwan, which means that they've been facing sanctions from the Americans and other places around, chip production. They can't buy the best chips. They can't import the machines to make chips as well. So they kind of be set back in that and other areas as well. So I think the overall problems in China stem from their leadership, and no one fiscal stimulus is going to be able to take care of that long term.
And that growth, coming in under expectations, but still growing. I don't know, man. It seems like markets did initially kind of overestimate the amount of growth we would have seen in China, don't you think?
Yeah, but I think that's more to do with the government here than anything else. If you look at, for instance, China's how he dealt with the COVID, they were much more strict than anybody else. People were literally welded into their houses. The doors were welded shut. You had to have your food delivered to you by the government. And they held on very strict anti-COVID regulations for much longer than most parts of the world. They haven't really recovered from that afterwards. And I think that's one of the issues here. It's the government's issues are what's causing the lack of growth in China at the moment.
Let's move over to things taking place on the local front. The Rand has been under some renewed pressure, shedding almost 3% this month. And it's also on track to end the week on the back foot. Is this just on the back of a stronger dollar, or are we seeing some nervousness ahead of the midterm budget?
I think also there was a rumor, and I think that's what caused that spike up to about 17, 18 plus, about us doing a deal with some Russian bank, and I think that kind of spooked the market as well. I think that's what people were talking about. And you see that as a story out there. The government's come back and denied that that's the case. And we must understand, BRICS is a very important organization, half the world's population, more than a third of the world's GDP. But being associated with BRICS is also dangerous because there's at least two members of BRICS, maybe more as BRICS adds members, which was Russia and China at the moment, and Iran down the line, that are anti the US, anti-Europe, and are basically facing sanctions for them. And if you're going to be part of a group that's basically facing these kind of sanctions, you're going to be very careful to make sure that you're separate from them. I think that also indicates one of the dangers that BRICS shows for us in South Africans is that, if we do run follow some of these things, we will see our currency suffer. We will see kind of relations with like the West also suffer.
Let's get into some company news now. Viv, this came out with results today. Revenue up 9.6%, HEPS gaining 16%, but it doesn't seem like markets are pleased with these numbers. I think the last time I checked, that share price was down about 3%. What's the reason behind this?
Well, I mean, firstly, Dis-Chem's share price has gone up dramatically over the last year or so, up 60+%. And so even though initially the share did fall about 5% and recovered, but that's slightly lower from the recovery, we still have talking about a share price that's up 60% in the last year. So I would say to you that if you look at just how the markets reacted to it, and just what the results look like, it's a case more of disappointment in the face of a really high share price as opposed to really bad results.
All right, Viv, before I let you go, what are you hanging your hat on today? What's your stock pick?
Intel. I think as we talk about more issues developing with regards to China and Taiwan, and TSMC of course based in Taiwan, Intel is set to benefit from any kind of onshoring of production in the US. They're already I think spending tens of billions on production in the US at the moment. In addition to that, we have seen some moves to acquire Intel out there. And if you do see what's the Donald Trump victory and a change of the leadership of the FTC, Lila Khan, which is to be replaced, these kind of mergers are more likely to occur. So on a number of factors, I think Intel might be due for a bit of an uptick.
All right, Viv, let's leave it there. Thanks so much for your time and just taking us through the day's markets action. That was Rand Swiss Offshore's Viv Govender.